Don't let your anxiety destroy you. I understand sometimes it can be very tough to shoulder the anxiety, especially as a Muslim. You should understand that Muslims in this world are strangers, but the Prophet ﷺ said in authentic hadith to give glad tidings to the strangers. The deen of Islam was something strange and it has returned to something strange. Most people don't understand why we believe what we believe, or they don't even open their minds enough to try to understand our religion. This is why it's so important to study your religion and know what's asked of you and know how the dynamic of this dunya works. I promise you it'll help you with your anxiety struggles. And as usual, may Allah reward you. Feeling anxious and having guilt over doing consistent sin is actually a rahmah and a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I know this may seem super backwards considering you've probably been struggling with the weight of the anxiety, but the fact that you feel guilt or have these feelings in the back of your head shows that you have a heart that beats properly, that feels something when they think about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and disappointing Him. So if you have anxiety of displeasing Allah, you just need to channel it in a better way. Look at it as if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is putting that feeling inside of you because He wants you to call back to Him. There are some people who walk around and their heart doesn't beat properly, and whenever they commit sin, they don't ever even ponder about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or think about Allah in that situation. But here you are constantly overthinking if Allah is pleased with you. Rather than looking at this as a curse, look at it as a blessing from Allah that He has bestowed upon you. So many people have dead hearts, but your heart still beats properly. The part that we miss is that our heart needs to go through a phase of uneasiness so that we can understand what it is like to have ease. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keeps blessing you consistently with loneliness. And I know that sounds super backwards, but the fact that you keep removing yourself from that loneliness is the reason why you're not succeeding in where you want to succeed. When you find yourself in a moment of solitude, when you find yourself with no companions around or no one to speak to, this is the closest you'll ever be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's just you and Him. I really need you guys to understand this because I fully get that gutted feeling that you feel inside of your heart when you are alone, when you don't have anyone around you. But that's not a bad thing. That is the exact moment you should turn to Allah and seek validation from Him alone. And I promise you things will start to work out the second you decide to do that. Instead of focusing on the discomfort, this is exactly what Shaitan wants of you, by the way. Focus on the fact that you're uncomfortable for a reason because you're not turning to Allah when your situation isn't the best. You need to think about all the prophets and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved them when they made dua to Allah. Allah constantly says in the Qur'an why it's so important to turn towards your Rabb in times of hardship. And of course, you make dua, He'll answer to you. So all you need to do is when you're lonely, make dua to Allah and seek for His validation.
You haven't heard this before, but there's a neuroscience reason why the Qur'an is so healing and can easily touch your heart. The Qur'an rewires brain pathways that are much faster and much stronger because of its usage of metaphors. Metaphors can activate up to 6 parts of your brain. Let's go through them. If we take an example, when Allah Azza wa Jal says Allah does not change the condition of a people until they change what is in themselves. The first areas that activate are your language centers. Because these language centers understand that this verse cannot be taken at face value. There's a deeper meaning. So therefore, higher level processing is required. Number 2, your sensors activate. Visual, auditory, somatosensory. And it's because the brain tries to create the experience associated with the metaphor. So in the example that we used, Allah does not change the condition of a people until they change what is in themselves. The brain will try to create the experience of the heart as a soil. If you nourish it, it'll flourish. And if you ignore it, it'll die. 3, the motor cortex. So when a metaphor involves a movement or an action, the brain activates the motor cortex as if you're actually performing the action, but there's no action in this verse, so it doesn't activate. 4, the amygdala, the emotional center of your brain, activates because the metaphor touches your feelings. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, change what is in themselves, your brain doesn't just process it intellectually, but it feels the sense of urgency and responsibility. 5, the hippocampus, where you store memory. Because metaphors like these touch your feelings and grab your attention, it makes it easier to store. Number 6, an area called default mode network, which is responsible for self-reflection. When you read this verse, naturally you're going to ask yourself, is this verse talking about me? Is it addressing me? Where do I fit in this whole picture?
Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Your support means a lot.